The Greek Orthodox Church of Antioch, also known as the Antiochian Orthodox Church, is an autocephalous Greek Orthodox Church within the wider communion of Eastern Orthodox Christianity, headed by the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch. It considers itself the successor to the Christian community founded in Antioch by the apostles Peter and Paul. Background: the seat of the Patriarchate was formerly Antioch, in what is now Turkey. However, in the 14th century, it was moved to Damascus, modern-day Syria, following the Ottoman invasion of Antioch. Its traditional territory includes Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Arab countries of the Persian Gulf and also parts of Turkey. Its territory formerly included the Church of Cyprus until the latter became autocephalous in 431. Both the Orthodox churches of Antioch and Cyprus are members of the Middle East Council of Churches. Its North American branch is autonomous, although the Holy Synod of Antioch still appoints its head bishop, chosen from a list of 3 candidates nominated in the North American Archdiocese. Its Australasia and Oceania branch is the largest in terms of geographic area due to the relatively large size of Australia and the large portion of the Pacific Ocean that the Archdiocese covers. The head of the Orthodox Church of Antioch is called Patriarch. The present Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch is John X Yazigi, who presided over Archdiocese of Western and Central Europe. He was elected as primate of the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Antioch and all the East as John X of Antioch on December 17, 2012. He succeeded Ignatius IV, who had died on December 5, 2012. Membership statistics are not available, but may be as high as 1,100,000 in Syria and 400,000 in Lebanon. The Greek Orthodox Church of Antioch is one of several churches that lays claim to be the canonical incumbent of the ancient See of St. Peter and St. Paul in Antioch. The Oriental Orthodox Syriac Orthodox Church of Antioch makes the same claim, as do the Syriac Catholic Church, the Maronite Church, and the Melkite Greek Catholic Church, all of them Eastern Catholic churches in full communion with the Holy See. These 3, however, mutually recognize each other as holding authentic patriarchates, being part of the same Catholic communion. The Roman Catholic Church also appointed titular Latin Rite patriarchs for many centuries, until the office was left vacant in 1953 and abolished in 1964 and all claims renounced. History and cultural legacy. Pauline Greco-Semitic roots. The Greek Orthodox Church of Antioch claims the status of most ancient Christian church in the world, according to Luke the Evangelist, himself a Greco-Syrian member of that community. The disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. Acts chapter 11 verse 26. Street. Peter and St. Paul the Apostle are considered the co-founders of the Patriarchate of Antioch, the former being its first bishop. When Peter left Antioch, Evodios and Ignatius took over the charge of the Patriarchate. Both Evodios and Ignatius died as martyrs under Roman persecution. Hellenistic Judaism and the Judeo-Greek wisdom literature popular in the late Second Temple era amongst both Hellenized Jews and Gentile Greek proselyte converts to mainstream Judaism played an important part in the formation of the Melkite Antiochian Greek Orthodox tradition. Some typically Grecian, ancient synagogal, priestly rites and hymns have survived partially to the present in the distinct church services of the Melkite Greek Orthodox and Greek Catholic communities of the Hatay province of southern Turkey, Syria and Lebanon. Some historians believe that a sizable proportion of the Hellenized Jewish communities are most Gentile Greco-Macedonian settlers in southern Turkey and Syria, Lebanon, the former being called Helleniste in the Acts, converted progressively to the Greco-Roman branch of Christianity that eventually constituted the Melkite, Hellenistic churches of the MENA area. As Jewish Christianity originated at Jerusalem, so Gentile Christianity started at Antioch, then the leading center of the Hellenistic East, with Peter and Paul as its apostles. From Antioch it spread to the various cities and provinces of Syria, among the Hellenistic Syrians as well as among the Hellenistic Jews who, as a result of the great rebellions against the Romans in AD 70 and 130, were driven out from Jerusalem and Palestine into Syria. Acts chapter 6 points to the problematic cultural tensions between the Hellenized Jews and Greek-speaking Judeo-Christians centered around Antioch and related Cilician, Southern Anatolian and Syrian diasporas, and Aramaic-speaking Jewish converts to Christianity based in Jerusalem and neighboring Israeli towns. The Hebrews were Jewish Christians who spoke almost exclusively Aramaic, and the Hellenists were also Jewish Christians whose mother tongue was Greek. They were Greek-speaking Jews of the diaspora, who returned to settle in Jerusalem. To identify them, Luke uses the term Helleniste, when he had in mind Greeks, Gentiles, non-Jews who spoke Greek and lived according to the Greek fashion. Then he used the word Hellenes. As the very context of Acts chapter 6 makes clear, the Helleniste are not Hellenes. There is neither Jew nor Greek. These ethno-cultural and social tensions were eventually surmounted by the emergence of a new, typically Antiochian Greek doctrine spearheaded by Paul and his followers, be they one, established autochthonous Hellenized Cilician Western Syrian Jews, heathen, classical Greeks, Greco-Macedonian and Greco-Syrian Gentiles, and 3. The local, autochthonous descendants of Greek or Greco-Syrian converts to mainstream Judaism, known as proselytes, and Greek-speaking Jews born of mixed marriages. Paul's efforts were probably facilitated by the arrival of a fourth wave of Greek-speaking newcomers to Cilicia, southern Turkey and northwestern Syria. Cypriot and Cyrenian Jewish migrants of non-Egyptian North African Jewish origin and Gentile Roman settlers from Italy, many of whom already spoke fluent Koine Greek or sent their children to Greco-Syrian schools. Some scholars believe that, at the time, these Cypriot and Cyrenian North African Jewish migrants were generally less affluent than the autochthonous Cilician Syrian Jews and practiced a more liberal form of Judaism, more propitious for the formation of a new canon. North African Cyrenian Jews were of sufficient importance in those days to have their name associated with a synagogue at Jerusalem, and when the persecution arose about Stephen, a Hellenized Syrian Cilician Jew, and one of the first known converts to Christianity, some of these Jews of Cyrene who had been converted at Jerusalem, were scattered abroad and came with others to Antioch, and one of them, Lucius, became a prophet in the early church there, the Greek-speaking, Orthodox Church of Antioch. These subtle, progressive socio-cultural shifts are somehow summarized succinctly in chapter 3 of the Epistle of Paul to the Galatians. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus. Dual self-designation. Melkites and Eastern Romans, the unique combination of ethno-cultural traits inherited from the fusion of a Greek cultural base. Hellenistic Judaism and Roman civilization gave birth to the distinctly Antiochian, Middle Eastern Roman, Christian traditions of Cilicia and Syria, Lebanon. The mixture of Roman, Greek, and Jewish elements admirably adapted Antioch for the great part it played in the early history of Christianity. The city was the cradle of the church. Members of the community in southern Turkey, Syria and Lebanon still call themselves Rum, which means Eastern Roman or Asian Greek in Arabic. In that particular context, the term Rum is used in preference to Yavani or Ionana, which means European Greek or Ionian in Biblical Hebrew and Classical Arabic. Members of the community also call themselves Melkites, which literally means monarchists, or supporters of the emperor in Semitic languages. But in the modern era, the term tends to be more commonly used by followers of the Greek Catholic Church of Antioch and Alexandria and Jerusalem. interaction with other non-Muslim ethnocultural minorities following the fall of the Turkish Ottoman Empire and the Tsarist Russian Empire, and the ensuing rise of French colonialism, communism, Islamism and Israeli nationalism. Some members of the Greek Orthodox Church of Antioch embraced secularism or Arab nationalism as a way to modernize and secularize the newly formed nation-states of the northern MENA area, Syria and Lebanon, and thus provide a viable alternative to political Islam, communism and Jewish nationalism. This often led to interfaith conflicts with the Maronite Church in Lebanon, notably regarding Palestinian refugees after 1948 and 1967. Various intellectuals with a Greek Orthodox Antiochian background played an important role in the development of Baathism, the most prominent being Michel Aflaq, one of the founders of the movement, Abraham Dimitri Ribbony in the early 20th century. Lebanese-American writers of Greek Orthodox Antiochian background such as Abraham Dimitri Ribbony, known as Abraham Mitri Ribbony, popularized the notion of studying ancient Greco-Semitic culture to better understand the historic and ethno-cultural context of the Christian Gospels. His original views were developed in a series of articles for the Atlantic Monthly, and in 1916 published in book form as The Syrian Christ. At a time when most of the MENA area was ruled by Turkey, France and England, Ribbony called for U.S. military intervention in the Holy Land to fend off Turkish nationalism and Ottoman pan-Islamism, French colonialism, Soviet communism and radical Zionist enterprises, all viewed as potentially detrimental to Christian minorities, administration and structure. After the death of the head of the Patriarchate of Antioch, Ignatius IV, Patriarch of Antioch, Syria, Arabia, Cilicia, Iberia, Mesopotamia and all the East, on December 7, 2012, Metropolitan Saba Esba was elected locum tenens until the election of the new Patriarch. On Monday, the 17th of December, the Holy Synod of Antioch announced the election of Metropolitan John as the new Patriarch, taking the name John X. Archdioceses and metropolitans in the Middle East: Archdiocese of Damascus, Patriarchal Diocese, Archdiocese of Aleppo and Alexandretta, Paul Yazigi, Archdiocese of Bosra, Hauran and Jabal al-Arab, Saba Esba, Archdiocese of Homs, George Abu Zakam, Archdiocese of Hama and Exarchate of North Syria, Elias Saliba, Archdiocese of Latakia and Exarchate of Theodorias, John Mansour, Archdiocese of Beirut and Exarchate of Phoenicia, Elias Saudi, Archdiocese of Acre, Basilios Mansour, Archdiocese of Mount Lebanon, Byblos and Botris, George Khodr, Archdiocese of Zaleh and Baalbek, Antonio El-Sauri, Archdiocese of Tripoli and El Khora, Ephraim Kyriakos, Archdiocese of Tyre and Sidon, Elias Fori, Archdiocese of Baghdad, Kuwait and dependencies, Gattaz Hazem, in Asia and Oceania, Archdiocese of Australia, New Zealand, and all Oceania, Paul Saliba, in Europe, Archdiocese of France, Western and Southern Europe, Ignatius al-Hushi, Archdiocese of Germany and Central Europe, Isaac Barakat, Archdiocese of the British Isles and Ireland, Silouan Wana, in the Americas, Archdiocese of North America, Archbishop of New York and Metropolitan of all North America, Joseph Al-Zelouer, Diocese of New York and Washington, D.C., Archbishop's Diocese, a resident assistant to the Metropolitan, Bishop Nicholas Ozone, Diocese of Worcester and New England, John Abdullah, Diocese of Miami and the Southeast, Antone Cowrie, titular Bishop of Seleucia, Diocese of Wichita and Mid-America, Basil Essie, titular Bishop of Anfair, Diocese of Los Angeles and the West, vacant Diocese of Eagle River and the Northwest, vacant Diocese of Charleston, Oakland and Mid-Atlantic, Thomas Joseph, Diocese of Toledo and the Midwest, Anthony Michaels, Diocese of Ottawa, Eastern Canada and Upstate New York, Alexander Mufaraj, Archdiocese of Buenos Aires and Argentina. Siloan Muci, Archdiocese of Mexico, Venezuela, Central America and the Caribbean. Antonios Chedruetanis, Bishop of Caesarea and Patriarchal Auxiliary for Mexico, Archdiocese of Chile. Sergio Sabad, Bishop of Salamias and Patriarchal Auxiliary for Chile, Archdiocese of São Paulo and all Brazil. Damascenos Mansur, titular dioceses and bishops. Diocese of Philippopolis. Nifonsaikli, elevated to Archbishop in 2009 and elevated to Metropolitan in 2014. Representative of the Patriarch of Antioch and all the East at the Patriarch of Moscow and all Russia. Diocese of Daraya. Morsa Kauri, Patriarchal Assistant, Damascus. Diocese of Sidnaya. Luca Kauri, Patriarchal Assistant, Damascus. Diocese of Caesarea. Ignatius Saman, Auxiliary Bishop in Venezuela, Archdiocese of Mexico. Diocese of Bludan. Nicholas Balbaki, President of the Spiritual First Instance Court. Diocese of Nineveh. Athanasius Fard, Auxiliary Bishop in Tartus, Archdiocese of Acca. Diocese of Banias. Demetrius Charbake, Auxiliary Bishop in Safita, Archdiocese of Acca. Diocese of Arthurso. Elias Tume, Auxiliary Bishop in Marmarita, Archdiocese of Acca. Diocese of Zabadani. Constantine Kyle, Abbot of St. Elias, Shwaya Patriarchal Monastery. Diocese of Palmyra. Johanna Heikel, Auxiliary Bishop in the Archdiocese of Germany and Central Europe. Diocese of Seleucia. Ephraim Mayalali, Patriarchal Vicar and Secretary of the Holy Synod. Diocese of Sergiopolis. Marcos Cori, Auxiliary Bishop in the Archdiocese of São Paulo and Brazil. Diocese of Edessa. Romanos Dowd, Auxiliary Bishop in the Archdiocese of São Paulo and Brazil. Diocese of the Emirates. Gregorios Kauri Abdullah, Diocese of Erzurum. Keys Sadik, Retired Bishops Archdiocese of Zaleh and Baalbek. Spiridon Kauri, Archdiocese of Baghdad, Kuwait and Dependencies. Constantine Papa Stefana, Diocese of Yabraud. Athanasius Saliba, Diocese of Jablair. Demetrios Kauri, Daughter Churches Church of Cyprus. Granted autocephaly by the Church of Antioch in 431 AD. Church of Georgia. Granted autocephaly by the Church of Antioch in 474 AD. Church of Emerita and Abkhazia. Granted autocephaly by the Church of Antioch in the 1470s, but suppressed by the Russian Empire in 1814 and continue to be a dependency of the Church of Moscow in all Russia until 1917 when it was reunited with Church of Georgia.